Hello, I thought I'd do something a little bit different today. I've been watching Richard Charles's channel, and I'll link that in the comments. And he does these really thoughtful to camera pieces about modular synthesis and what inspires him, and the techniques he uses, and what works and what doesn't work. And yeah, he's like a proper musician. I'm just a hacker. But I thought, it'd be quite interesting to talk about how I use music as a diary. So looking back through my life, I can see like these cassettes that I made when I was, a teenager. And then when I was at university, I kept making them. Then it became CDs, and it was like riffs and ideas and just messing about, really. Just producing music. Never really went anywhere. Maybe a couple of my mates would hear it. I mean, it's all up on my website now, everything I could find. But I was very prolific. And then I played in bands for many years. I played in church. I'll do another piece about why I no longer play in charismatic worship teams at some point. But at one point, I was producing a lot of music, and then I played in a lot of bands, and I really enjoyed that. And I could be creative there, like bringing other people's ideas, bringing my riffs in. But then lockdown happened, and my band had come to an end shortly before that, the Lon Chaney Five, and that was my fault primarily. And then, what am I going to do? Like musically, I can't go anywhere. I can't do anything. And my friend Johnny, who goes by Flux of K Plus on YouTube, another like proper musician, I'll link to that. Unlike me, I'm just a hacker. He put together like an impressive collection of synths in his house, and I had gone and played with them like prior to lockdown. I was like, really impressed, and I bought a microbrew. And I'd play with that, but I didn't know what anything did. Didn't know what envelope was or a filter or anything like that. Really, I just know the filter was the thing that made it sound good when he went squishy with it. But during lockdown, like inspired by Johnny, I got some Eurorack stuff, and I started putting together a little synthesizer with that and messing about. But it didn't go anywhere initially, really. I mean, I put a few tunes out over the years, but it didn't really go anywhere. So what I did is I set myself this challenge. I called it 30-minute jams, and I had 30 minutes to patch, create, and something, and then I would release it. I would put it on SoundCloud, and then called that what do I call it, sonic sketches after that, because sometimes it would go over 30 minutes, and I'm a bit scrupulous if it's it's the autism, like it has to be correct. So yeah, I call it sonic sketches, and it's usually about an hour or so. I'll patch something up on the gear behind me. A camera's reversed, that's freaking me out. It's not mirrored. And then I would put that together and release it, and just whatever came out came out. And as a result of that, I put a lot of music out, and I'm not ever claiming any of my music's any good, really. But what I like about it is I can remember how I felt on that day when I produced it, and I always leave a little comment in the MP3 tags and in the YouTube video. That I now use YouTube. I didn't used to use SoundCloud. It's all on my website, so the website's got all the descriptions. I would take photos of the patch, and there would be this kind of reminder of what was going on, and a lot of the song titles are like something my kids said, or something that was going on in my life, or they're about something in the sense of that they were constructed over a background of what was happening in my life. So music has become a kind of diary for me. So it's fulfilling a very different function of, I'm not trying to be a rock star. I'm not trying to say like, I'm a great musician, you should listen to me. This is for me, and for, maybe one day my kids will come back and listen to it. Like if I die suddenly, which became a possibility during COVID, I realized my mortality after, seeing what a lot of people went through. And I got hospitalized a couple of times with various things over that. I'm all right, I'm fine, but it did shape me up a bit. And it's not like this morbid thing, but it's how I felt on that day. It's what was going on. There's just capturing something about the day in a different form. And it's not like writing with an acoustic guitar and singing about how much I love my children, how much I love my family, how much I love my God. It's not always that. It's more just whatever comes out, comes out. And removing that, oh, it's got to be really good, it's got to be release quality, it's got to be really well produced. Now just doing it live and having a jam. And I spotted like the doorless jamming thing. And I thought, yeah, that's it. That's all I'm doing, really. I didn't know it was called that. I didn't know what doorless was, but I soon figured it out. It's just without a door, like my flipping office. My kids keep walking in when I'm trying to record this. You can probably hear the little Norberts in the background. So I would record all this stuff, and I had this Beat Step Pro sequencer, and I had a couple of bits and pieces of Eurorack, and I built a drum machine in Eurorack. I got all the modules, and yeah, it was great. And then I got more into synth, so I bought that. I'm still pointing over the wrong shoulder because the camera's not mirrored. It's freaking me out. I got that DeepMind 6, and that's now my controller keyboard. I got the Squat Pyramids. I just gradually built up more hardware. And then, yeah, looking back now, I pick out a song occasionally, and I'm just like, well, I got a song, track, a piece, whatever. And I can kind of remember a lot about that day, and I can kind of remember, what was going on, and whether I was annoyed or I was, cheerful or tired or whatever. And it's just a really great way of kind of cataloging your life. And there's also a sense of progression. So sometimes I will collect these songs together into an album and release it on via DistroKid, which, pros and cons to that, but it goes out on the platforms. I have no idea if anyone streams it, and frankly, it's not the point. It's just cool to have something that I've released. And then that's all diversified. So I've now got like the Reckoned as Dead project, which is grindcore and sort of black metal inspired, a bit thrashy. And that is, I did a similar thing with the first Reckoned as Dead album. So I'd just go upstairs and record a drum track, record a guitar track, record a bass track, sing on it. And I was using a 16-bit like Porta Studio kind of thing. It was a what is it? Fostex thing. It's a hard disk recorder, so it's like early 2000s sort of thing. And there's no computer, there's no screens, so that jives well with my doorless thing. I don't like looking at a screen. I look at a screen all day for my job. DevOps engineer. I've done some tech leadership and VP engineering and all that kind of stuff. I've worked in software. So there's not much joy to me in just like getting some software and making music out. I do it sometimes. Like I've got a few iPad apps and that, but it's not the same as being tangible with it. And I know that's cork sniffing. Like musically, I can't hear the difference in analog and digital. I really can't. Like you play me some digital stuff, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds good. It's fine. And I'm one of those guys that's not all about like getting tone forever on my guitar and my bass. I'm just like, yeah, plug it in. Every setting basically sounds fine. Like a bit more bass sounds fine, a bit less sounds fine. Like it just sounds fine as long as the performances are good and there's interesting ideas in there. I remember listening to Bowie's I had the Spiders from Mars, and it had some bonus tracks on it, and I thought that the demo sounded better actually. I kind of liked the lo-fi 4-track vibe of it. I thought it was really interesting. It wasn't as slick. Not that anything was super slick in the 70s like it is now. It's all hyper compressed and auto-tuned and just lame. I think my expander's a bit aggressive. Let's dial that back a bit. So yeah, there's the Reckoned as Dead project, like thrash, and that's like one side, like the aggression, and that's based on like Pauline theology, and then the kind of black metal stuff I did based on the imprecatory psalms, which is something missing from contemporary worship, is often the idea that God is absolutely crushing his enemies, he will crush his enemies, and that he is to be feared, and that God rescues his people, sometimes through quite violent judgment. And yeah, I find that really inspirational and encouraging in a society that is increasingly anti-Christian. And then there's the Norley project, which was much more kind of intimate. Like that was all like pedals that I built, effects pedals. So there's a lot of vibrato, a lot of like tremolo, lo-fi, recorded on a Tascam 4-track, like the most basic Tascam you could possibly get. And I'd always wanted a 4-track, so I did all this kind of lo-fi rock on there, just using a Volker sample drum machine. And there's all stuff I'd built or repaired, and the guitar I used, the Telecaster I built with my children. So it's all stuff that I built myself with my own two hands, and all repaired myself. And that was just great because I'd just go out, record some riffs, and then that was that. And I've put that on DistroKid. That should be out soon. It's all on YouTube individually. So that was a very different mood and emotion. And then there's the Shinbones Man stuff, which is electronic. And then that subdivides into the kind of modular experimental stuff. And then the kind of almost gothic pop stuff. And if I could sing, I did that Shining Swordsman track, and my friend Ryan from Led by Lies got a semi-decent vocal performance out of me. I'm very pitchy. But yeah, a lot of the Shinbones Man stuff is kind of moody and dark, and but then some stuff's just silly. And then there's the stuff I'm doing on the Polyend Tracker, which is more garage, jungle, glitch, hip hop, and that's more sample based. And I want to do a camera piece on why I'm terrified of samples. But yeah, I sampled a lot of my own gear for that, and I really enjoyed doing that because when the kids are at jiu-jitsu or dance class on there, my headphones on, like making some jungle, my little nerdy spreadsheet with my beats on it. It's the dorkiest way you can possibly make music, which works for me. And then I'm doing another little project with my friend Rick, where I'm getting into sing-on, which I'm calling Idiot Alliance. So I look at these different things, and they're different aspects of my personality. And I'm not saying anyone should care about it. I'm saying I care about it. I'm saying that as a human being, we're designed to be... Creative is the wrong word. We can't create ex nihilo. That's a word kind of reserved for God. But within what we can do, there is a material universe, and we can operate in it, and we can synthesize things. That's literally what we're doing. Is we're synthesizing the ideas that we've heard, like a philosophical synthesis. Is maybe some Dark Thrones coming out and some Aphex Twins coming out, but I'm not as good as any of those guys. I'm just me. I'm just doing what I do. And then I just think that I want to copy it all onto tape, but my tape deck's broken. I want to put these albums on tape because I just think like these artifacts mean so much to me. This cassette I made in 1995, 96 as a teenager, and it means the world to me really because it's a physical artifact. That's why the first Shin Bones Man EP was on mini disc. I've got some of the mini discs still in there. Like I never intended to sell them. I just wanted to have them. I just thought it was such a cool idea. So like, a lot of what I do is I'll get a piece of gear and then I'll make music around that and what that piece of gear inspires, and then I'll move on and do one of the other, projects. And then I look back at my stats, and if I remember, I'll pop them up on screen. And then I feel like I've got to beat the number of tracks I released the year before. But when it only takes you an hour to produce and release something, it's not that hard, really, because you just get that sense that I've made something. I haven't sat there and watched the latest terrible woke Netflix garbage or whatever that's just shoving the message on me. I've actually gone and made something, and I've built something, and it feels rewarding, and it's just fun. And at the end of the day, there's like an artifact. There's something to show, like, yo, I was here. I did a thing. And it might not be an impressive thing, but it's the thing I did. It's got like a buttress against passivity. When you've got kids, you get tired, don't you? Like life is tiring and work is tiring, but you have this little scrap of energy left. It's like, what am I going to spend it on? And I can't like go out and stuff because the kids are in bed upstairs, and so I'll be in the studio. I'll be doing something. So yeah, that's my little piece on why I use music as a diary. Maybe someone finds it interesting, maybe they don't, but that's what I do.
I've got a website. Remember those? gavd.co.uk.